Always trying to make these things fun. Walking into nature. I don't know how far I'm going to be able to go, but birds, so beautiful. I love being out in nature. It's always such a wonderful time. I wasn't quite sure what to talk about on this vlog, so I kind of decided to just go with something that I thought about on the spot, because it's something that, you know, a lot of people have been going through since the previous months that the virus started and everything, and how just, you know, there's so much uncertainty and everything. We don't really know what direction life is going to take. We can do the best that we can to try to make life be, you know, what it is that we want it to. I think it goes back to this idea of control, security, and safety, and knowing. You know, I think that a lot of people tend to get really stressed out when they don't know what's going to happen. I think it's just that level of uncertainty, or just like an idea of uncertainty in and of itself, that changes everything. It changes the dynamics of what life means moving forward and how that impacts the lives of people. And so I think that this is something that needs to be addressed, because, you know, there's a whole lot of motivation that comes with knowing. You know, like when you know what an outcome is going to be, it's night and day when it comes to being motivated. You know, like, you have that level of understanding of what it is going to be, what's going to entail, so you're able to predict, so therefore you're able to base your current, you know, present day actions off of what it is that you're striving for with that future endeavor, whatever it is. And, you know, when that's taken away, when that knowing, when that certainty is taken away and then flipped upside down, you know, into uncertainty and lack of knowing, everything changes. And the way that you approach day-to-day life changes. The way that you feel about everything changes. And, you know, maybe your breathing gets a bit shallow, and, you know, it just goes back to this idea that it's a lack of knowing. And that's kind of what changes everything. And I think that in order to be able to get through times of uncertainty and to be okay in times of uncertainty, Alan Watts put it the best, in my opinion, of course. If you're not familiar with Alan Watts, by the way, he's one of the greatest philosophers to have ever lived. His ideologies were very deep. They were very on par with much of Eastern philosophies, and just all around a great dude. And I think that it's important to address the stuff that he says, but, you know, a lot of people look at things like change and they run away from it. So the gist of what he's about is looking at things like change, looking at things like uncertainty, you know, a lack of knowing, and plunging into it with flow, you know, just being there with it and allowing it to be as it is. You know, we have so much less control over everything that we think we do than we realize we actually do. Like, the amount of control that we actually have over things in life is a fraction of what we have so much more control than we want to allow ourselves to realize. Like, you know, for instance, if today was raining, right? A lot of people look at that and be like, I don't want to go out, you know, it's not nice weather and everything. That's one perspective. Another one perspective that I carry with myself is that I understand that it's raining because it's meant to, because the planet is intelligently regulating its own well-being, and therefore that's why it's raining, and it's also beautiful. And there's just no reason to look at it in, you know, a bad way, as a bad thing. And so, like, that would cause someone to have a bad day. Not me, though, you know? So, like, there are things that we have control over, our perspective, you know, the way that we decide to look at the day, and that's wonderful. And I think that the same thing can be said about, you know, certainty and uncertainty, knowing and not knowing. And that is that, you know, you have the ability to wake up every day, even if there is a whole, you know, hand of cards that's handed to you of profound uncertainty. You have the option to show up and be like, I don't know, and I'm going to be okay with that, and we're going to see what happens. And that's where a whole bunch of growth comes in. That's where you say, I don't need to control everything. I'm okay with things being, just not on par with, what I want them to be. We're not always going to get what we want in life. That's an age-old concept. We don't always get what we want, but we'll always get what we need, and that's something that we really need to come to a very honest understanding of. And just being able to be okay with uncertainty, and just living within that space. That's what it's all about. It's all about just realizing that there's so many things that we're not in control of, and we have to accept that. There are different factors that are playing, different players, different, just so many different things. We need to be okay with that, not knowing. That's where the good stuff happens. That's where life happens.